from the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Steve Atwater.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. The season is right around the corner, and to help me break it down is the one and only Steve Atwater. What up, Steve?
What up, Roy Edwards? Good to see you, man.
Good to have you here. There's a lot of conversation this week, a little over a week away from the first game, about urgency, about getting off to faster starts. And it feels all like lip service until you actually do it. So from a player's perspective, how do you go about making it a conversation to being about urgency?
I'll tell you what, man, when you go through preseason, you go undefeated. Even if you hadn't gone undefeated, you come out of the preseason feeling like, man, we got a pretty good team. But then you get to the first week, and then you're going up against the number one guys for the full game. There are no number twos, no number threes. These are the number one guys for every team. You want to get their best. And guess what? You got to be at your best. And it's a little bit of a switch. You got to flip a switch, man. It's like, look, this is real now. And it's got to be kind of balance there between, taking it serious and then not taking it too serious to where you get tight. You got to have that fine area there where you're focused, but you're not too focused.
And it feels like accountability is a big thing here, too, because it's almost got to be from the players, because it can't be from the coaching staff necessarily saying, hey, we need to get off to a faster start. We need to have a belief in ourselves that we can win these games. It kind of feels like this is almost like organically from the players.
Well, I think that each player prepares differently. They have different mindsets, and they got to know what makes, each individual has to know what makes them tick and to get them in the zone. And they got to be able to get into the zone, whether that's jumping up and down before the game, whether it's listening to music, whether it's meditating, whatever it is, each individual, you got to get in that zone, man, and to where you come out in that field, you ready to play, you ready to be focused for 60 minutes, and you leave it all out there on the field.
But I think it's interesting about this conversation with you is you're talking about more of the mental side, the emotional side of the game, more so than the X's and O's, right?
After you get the X's and O's down, it's like second nature, But if your head isn't right, then you can't even focus during the game. You don't know what to look at it during the game. By now, guys should know what they're looking at, what their keys are, what the progressions are. They should know most of those things by now. It should more be, hey, I got to be in the right mindset to where I can be focused and I can get back into that mode at any time.
So in your opinion, because sometimes even in early portions of the season, we've seen this specifically from like the Patriots, right, where they use the first portion of the season to kind of get into rhythm with things. You're saying at this point you should more or less kind of know what you're doing, at least on the field.
Yeah, you should. And yeah, there is some of that, just getting it down to where you get even better at it, because the more you do things, the better you get at it. But yeah, you should know the defenses and the offenses, and you'll get more nuance as you play more games. But I still believe that a majority of it is going to be the mindset. Can you block out the fact that, hey, one of your parents back home is going through some stuff and you can't be with them, or you got a brother that's going through something and you can't talk to him. All these other things that's going on in life. Can you block that out for the 60 minutes and leave everything you have on the field?
I think it's really a great point. Back to the mental portion of this, I do think about it from what the history of this team has been over the last several years and how maybe there's a little bit of a snowball effect. You start to lose, and then you go, oh, yep, here we go again. We're gonna be right back where we were. So it would mean a lot for this team to be able to get off to a bit of a fast start. Heck, even winning the first game, I think would change a little bit of the trajectory that this team is used to.
No, absolutely. But, you do that by playing one play at a time. You can't look at it and say, I got to go out here and win this game. You got to look at it like, I got to go out here and win this first play. 11 guys winning their plays over and over again, stacking those wins, and guess what? It's a good chance you can win the game. But if you have guys worrying about, all right, we got to start off 5-0, yeah, that's the wrong focus. One play at a time, give it your all, because it's hard to focus that far down the line in football.
How can the coaches sort of touch the right buttons during this time? Because the way you're talking about it from the player's perspective, which is what I asked you to do, how can the coaches play a role in keeping these guys focused in order to get off to that faster start?
Well, the coaches got to coach the way that they coach, and some coaches appeal to some players. They may not appeal to others. And, the players have to be able to get themselves up for the game. Now, granted, some coaches are very good at, getting guys in the right mindset. But at the end of the day, who is the camera going to be on? The camera's going to be on the players when the big play comes, when a big throw comes, and just say Cortland Sutton is up to make a big catch. Guess what? Cortland Sutton's got to make the catch. Ain't nobody can look at the coach and say, oh, what the coach have to do with it? No, that's Cortland. He got to make that catch. 9 times out of 10, he's going to make the catch too.
Yes, he is. No, and he is. And so, I mean, the good things you're hearing about Cortland and Albert Okwuegbunam and Von Miller and Melvin Gordon, and even to an extent, I think eventually Noah Fant and Bradley Chubb, is these guys are on their way back. And the team should relatively be healthy when the season starts. But it's the mental part that really is fascinating ultimately for me, because when they talk about it, and I heard this from Shelby Harris when he was talking about it earlier this week, you can talk about it, but being about it is just that 1 or 2 layers of different. And some teams can do that. Some teams have a culture of knowing what that looks like. How can the Broncos establish that culture or even create that culture when you're so used to losing early on in the season?
No, that's a great point. And, it is easy because, everything's not going to go right in this game or any game. To get off to a bad start, and then you start feeling sorry for yourselves and, go down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down and end up losing the game. You certainly don't want that to happen. But I think, the great players, the great leaders, they step up, even knowing that there's going to be some adversity. Because there's going to be adversity. That's what everybody has to know. Teddy Bridgewater is not going to go out there and go 25 for 25 for 600 yards. That's just, it's not going to happen. He's going to make some passes that aren't going to be completed, and that's okay. That's what everybody has to know, though, regardless of what happens the next play.
Okay, so do the Broncos have that right kind of chemistry? You bring up Teddy Bridgewater, that strikes me as one of the reasons why maybe he did win the job, is they feel like he's a steadying force. The Broncos didn't have many steadying forces on offense last year, specifically once Cortland Sutton got injured. Melvin Gordon was his first year here. He would be one of the vets you'd lean on. It was Drew Lock's first starting year. You had rookies in Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler playing significant roles. Noah Fant was a guy that you could lean on, but again, he's only one guy. So I sort of feel like the decision to go with Teddy Bridgewater was in part to have the right chemistry of guys that can pick each other up when things are not going smoothly. A dropped pass from a wide receiver, that's all right. Shake it off. We're going to get right back in this thing. Again, it's nothing against Drew Lock. I think he's that guy too, which is great news for the Broncos if they have to ever go to him. Yeah. I'm saying that the early decision to Teddy Bridgewater is that steadying force, something they definitely missed last year. Yeah,
I would say that's certainly a part of it. But hey, Teddy threw some accurate passes. He handled the pocket extremely well, and he was a calming force back there. I think guys, when they got back in the huddle, they looked in his eyes and he had belief in his eyes, and that sometimes is a good thing. Well, most of the time it's going to be a good thing for your offense because you guys are battling out there and they come back. They want a leader there that and not saying Drew Lock wasn't that, but they want a leader there that, hey, can instill that confidence in them and, hey, man, look, come on, you better than that. Let's go. Pick it up.
Sense of urgency, something the Broncos definitely need to see this year, especially if they're going to get to the 17-0 that Steve Atwater predicted. All right, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks, as always, for watching Broncos Country Tonight.